Hi everyone! So I thought that I would do a chatty get ready with me because it has been a little while since I've done one of those, and I thought that I would just keep it sort of light and fun and talk about some of my favorite entertainment things right now. So TV shows, movies, books, YouTubers, just things that I've been enjoying watching and things that kind of, you know, help pass the time. I put on MAC Strobe Cream and that is it for right now. I feel like my skin's been really dull lately, probably because I haven't paid too much attention to skincare. I haven't been wearing a whole lot of makeup. See, that's kind of the issue. I usually had my whole routine and now I'm usually very simple, and I feel like my skin has struggled a little bit with it. Plus also, you know, being indoors. I'm gonna use this sample actually. I just saw this sitting here because I'd drawn this from my hashtag 365 days of samples, the Lancer Glowing Skin Perfector, which I don't think is actually a face primer, but you know what? There are no rules right now and I feel like being glowy, so we are going to slather this all over my face. I'm surprised my skin hasn't broken out more. I've had a few little breakouts and I'm still like healing from one, like here. Little remnants of it. I've been having a few around my lips more than other places on my face. Normally I get that sort of time of the month breakout on like my chin, and lately it's been, how about breakouts just around the lips? It's been great. Can't really explain that one, but that's what I've been dealing with skin wise. But fortunately, because I haven't been wearing too much makeup, I can just kind of slather on skincare stuff when those issues crop up. I need to kind of get into a better routine with skincare stuff, but it hasn't been the easiest thing to get into, to find that sort of routine. So it has a weird smell. I don't know if it's because it's old, but I don't think it's that old of a sample. That just smells sort of like almost sunscreeny. I don't think there's any sunscreen in it. I'm not exactly sure. There's a lot of ingredients. At least the back of the sample has all the ingredients listed in there, but I don't know. I'm trying to get that glow, and I feel like the last couple of videos I've filmed, my skin has just looked really dull on camera. Even if in person it doesn't look quite so dull and bad. I'm gonna do my base makeup first. My plan is to use the Modern Renaissance palette, and I'm going to use my Franken Shadow Love Letter, because I really just feel like something purple, blue, kind of bright. And I feel like when I've done bright lately, it's been a lot of oranges and yellows and just those sort of happy time shadows, but I want to do something different, so. Color correcting as always. I was going to talk about something else, wasn't I? I was going to talk about fun stuff. Okay, so I do have notes. I made notes on my phone, as everybody does. I wanted to just mention some of the things I've been watching and just sort of some general things that have been helping me lately. So take it for what you will, and I'll try and also give some sort of like general advice and sort of things that might be a little bit more general, and instead of a little more specific, because I know sometimes people recommend things and it's like, that doesn't really apply to me. But if you can think of it in more general terms, then maybe that'll work for you. I am still using my Physicians Formula foundation. I've decided to still use it for occasions like this where I know the makeup's gonna be on my face for like maximum an hour. So I don't want to use my best stuff for just hanging around inside the house, you know? So, although I am using my best color correctors, but they are some of my only color correctors, so there you go. My issue with this foundation before has been that it was breaking me out, or I believe it was, but I also feel like if I put enough of a base layer, like a primer, then it kind of stops that as well. But I guess we'll see. Well, also I guess we won't see, because if I do have a skin issue, it might be because of that new Lancer product I used as well. So hard to say. But anyway, TV shows. So my favorite comfort show is Gilmore Girls. This is a show that I grew up watching. It's a show I started watching it the summer after the first season aired. So that would have been like 2001, I think. I can't remember when the first season aired. It was 1999, 2000. My brain is foggy right now. But basically, it was the summer after the first season aired, so before season 2, and I got caught up watching it, loved it, and was a fan ever since. So I watched it when it was mostly on air, and I've continued to watch it ever since. When the box sets were first being released, I remember renting them from the library and eventually got my own. And it was just, it's a comforting show for me. It wasn't always one of my favorite shows, it just sort of became one of my favorite shows because I just kept watching reruns. And I am using concealer. I don't normally use concealer because I color correct, but I'm trying to use up this YSL concealer. Just another product to get rid of. But I started watching it, and then it just kind of became almost like a background thing for me. I had it on when I was studying, and the series ended when I was in university, so it kind of took me through junior high, high school, university, so it has that nostalgia aspect as well. But I would just put it on as background noise when I was studying, and it just became part of me, I guess. And now I still, so many years later, still can't let it go, and it's the show that I just love so much. Other shows that I will occasionally watch, but I'll admit I haven't been watching too much right now, like Grey's Anatomy. This is a really good show to binge watch because there's so many seasons. You can really pass a lot of time watching the almost endless Grey's Anatomy and getting caught up on the drama, and so much drama. So much drama. I haven't watched the newest season, but I will go back, and I generally watch up until season 6 when I kind of get a little bit bored. It sort of drops down a little bit for me around season 6. But I actually really like later seasons. Like I really enjoy season 7. Season 6 is a really good season, but for some reason it just sort of loses me a little bit. I think it's because I'm not such a huge fan of Hunt. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. Season 6 is a lot of people's favorite season too, so I'll just say that. There's a lot of good storylines in season 6. Gossip Girl and Pretty Little Liars are also really fun shows to sort of binge watch. I have sort of a nostalgia factor with those kind of shows as well. Not even so much Pretty Little Liars, I guess, because that show came out later, but I read all the books as well, and it's a really fun series to read. There's so many books, and it's so ridiculous, and you really have to suspend your disbelief quite a bit, but it's a lot of fun. It's just drama and silliness, and I like that there's a lot of fashion, and there's cattiness, and it's enjoyable in that way, and it's just some of that easy reading, easy to consume. My brows did not turn out the way that I want them to, but that is what happens. You'll have to forgive makeup things in this video because this really is just chatty, just for fun, and maybe it might end up being too much or too dramatic, but we shall see. Yeah, I got too much darkness around the brows there, so whatever, we're gonna live with it. I'm using clear brow gel to try and deal with it a little bit. I might need to touch some of this up with some concealer. Another fun show to binge watch is Rupaul's Drag Race. I have been watching that. So there's currently a new season airing right now, season 12. So you can definitely just dive right into the new season. But if you're feeling like you maybe want to explore some of the older seasons, my recommendation is to start with season 5. I feel like that's seems to be a common thing. A lot of people recommend starting with season 5. If you don't like season 5, you probably wouldn't like the show overall. I will say season 5 is probably the strongest season overall. And it was really sort of when the show started to kind of get its groove a little bit. So definitely recommend that. If you enjoy season 5 and you're wondering where you can go from there, you can kind of just continue on in order if you want to, or go right into All Stars 2. Sounds like kind of a jump, weird jump, but if you really enjoyed season 5, you would really love All Stars 2. And even the people you don't recognize, you will still enjoy so much. You'll have a really fun time watching those seasons, in my opinion. It's a really fun show, and I feel like there's a lot there as well. And in terms of characters and seasons, and you've got a lot to go off of if you are interested in the Drag Race universe. Because like I said, they are on season 12 now, so there's 12 seasons and 4 All-Stars so far. Other shows I've been watching sort of in the same line with RuPaul's Drag Race a little bit, just in the reality show vein, has been Project Runway, and then the new Heidi and Tim show on Amazon Prime, the Making the Cut. I've watched the few episodes that have been released so far, and I'm not entirely sold on the format, but I think it's also because it's inevitable that you're comparing it to Project Runway, and it's not the same show as Project Runway, so you kind of have to remind yourself of that. I know I have to remind myself of that. I'm like, okay, might be similar people involved, but it is a different show. So I'm not too sold on the current version of Project Runway. I don't know, Carly is not the most charismatic host, in my opinion. Like, she doesn't really match up to Heidi, in my opinion, but I'm sure other people may disagree with me on that one. I also started watching The Simpsons again via the Disney Plus channel, because, you know, in times you need new streaming services, and it's been really fun picking random numbers and watching episodes from random seasons all over the place. It's another great show that you can just pick up kind of whenever, and it's really, I find it to be quite entertaining anyway. I'm not sure other people's opinions on The Simpsons, but if you don't like The Simpsons, there might be some other variation of a show like that that you might enjoy watching. I'm not a fan of Bob's Burgers, for example, but I know a lot of people are, and it's certainly a pretty good option. Animated shows, especially if they have a lot of seasons, are a lot of fun as well, regardless of what the show is, just because it's usually funny and easy to get into, and you don't need a lot of backstory with the seasons as you might need with some other kind of shows that you might get a little lost in if you don't start at the beginning. It's very easy to pick up an episode like The Simpsons at any time, wherever you are, and you're not really going to miss too much. I'm trying to bring this back. I should have just done like a proper like half cut crease, had all the sort of ingredients in front of me, and just decided to sort of wing it, and I'm regretting that right now. It's very difficult to do something, like normally when I do a Chatty Get Ready With Me, it's like the most boring, basic kind of makeup, and anything that involves a little bit more patience usually doesn't go very well. I will say that. Probably why you don't see people do very complicated things in a Chatty Get Ready With Me when they're not really thinking about the makeup. At least I don't notice that too often from people. Just my 2 cents. Okay, so I also started watching Killing Eve. So that's a new show to me. I'm always kind of wary about new shows because you never know if you're gonna like it, and how much time do you commit to something new to decide if it's worth your time to kind of continue watching it. But no, I was pretty much sold from the first episode, from the pilot, so I haven't completely caught up because I know season 3 is starting soon, and I think I'm into season 2. No, I'm almost at the end of season 1. I think I have like 1 episode left of season 1, so that's one. But I have to kind of be in the right state of mind for that, and I feel like that's true of almost any show. I'd say give anything 3 episodes. If it doesn't grab you by the 3rd episode, it's probably not going to. And that's of no fault of yours or the show. It's just, you know, you're not going to like everything. So it's like if you watch any of the shows that I recommended, you might watch the 1st episode and not get it, or even not like it at the pilot. But unless you absolutely cannot stand it, I'd say give anything to the 3rd episode. And then if it's not for you, move on. So Killing Eve has been a lot of fun, but I just have to be in the right state of mind. And I feel like that's just true of me in general for new things. I have to be in the right state of mind for something new and have to want to kind of focus a little bit more. I'm so used to those shows that I've seen over and over and over again that are almost a little bit of background noise at this point, where I can kind of do other things at the same time. I'm definitely not a person who likes to just like straight up just sit down and watch TV. Like, I like to be doing other things, even if that other thing is just playing solitaire or Sudoku or something. But if I have to be constantly watching the screen, I have to be in the right sort of frame of mind for that. So I'm not gonna go too far with this look because I feel like it's gonna get real crazy real fast. So I'm gonna take a little break from, I'm gonna put mascara on, put some more face makeup on, and then maybe put some lashes on, revisit the eye makeup a little bit. I think it really would have worked a lot better for me if I had just done the straight up cut crease, but oh well. My recommendation, just to make it a little bit more general, would be to watch sort of comforting, feel-good shows. Don't feel like you have to get caught up on everything everybody else is watching. If there's some sort of new documentary on Netflix that doesn't really capture your interest, don't feel like you have to watch it because other people are watching it and people are talking about it. Like, it's totally okay to not dedicate parts of your life to some sort of internet meme. Watch what you want to watch, what makes you comfortable, and what entertains you. And it may be something new, but it may be something older and comfortable. And for you, that might even be something like The Office or Friends or whatever. And don't feel bad and don't let other people make you feel bad, because I know that there's always those memes that are like, you know, oh, I want to watch something new on Netflix, and it shows like then the image of the person like watching The Office, which is supposed to imply that they're just watching the same old things over and over again. But like, who cares? Who cares if that's what makes you feel good and that's how you want to spend a few hours of your life or days or weeks or months? Who cares? Like, it's honestly nobody else's business. So I'd say just watch what makes you feel comfortable, watch what you enjoy, and if you give new things a chance, don't feel like you have to commit so much of your life to something that somebody else likes or somebody else recommended if it really doesn't do anything for you. There's no point in wasting your time on something like that. It just really isn't. So I've definitely abandoned a few shows and even a few movies and stuff after starting them because I didn't like it, and I was just like, you know what? Life is too short. Life is too short to waste my time on something like this. So take that for what you will, but I'm going to use the same Viseart palette as a blush. I really like combining shades to use as blush. It always looks great. Like, it's gonna look crazy, and then I'm gonna blush, and then I'm gonna blush it in. I'm gonna blend it in. Okay, so for movies, I haven't been in a very big movie sort of state lately. I also feel like I have to be in like the right headspace for movies. Documentaries, really good place to start if you are looking for something maybe a little bit more educational or informative maybe. There's a lot of documentaries out there on any topic you can think of. Even just do Google searches for documentaries on topics that interest you. For me, I found one called Echo in the Canyon, which is about Laurel Canyon, and Bob Dylan's son had done some sort of performance a few years back, and it was all about that. So that was pretty interesting to me to see how that all came together, and interviews with a lot of people, sort of new stuff I hadn't seen before. There's a Sound City documentary. It's Dave Grohl's documentary from a few years ago. I found it free on the Roku channel on my TV, because I have a Roku TV. I think it might also be on YouTube as well. So YouTube is another great place. You're on it right now. Search for documentaries for like your favorite bands or favorite authors or musicians. I'm sticking in the music thing, but yeah, actors or athletes. There might be something put together. Now, it may not be some sort of professional documentary. There's been a few that I've watched where it's like, this person met Taylor Swift one time when she was 15. And it's really funny to watch that kind of stuff as well, even if it's not entirely accurate, or it's just a lot of people's opinions, which is kind of interesting as well, to kind of see like the narrative that some people put together. I enjoy it anyway, but some of those you do have to be careful of whether or not they are presenting true facts, right? So I want some layers. There are a few Fleetwood Mac documentaries on YouTube that I recommend if you like the band, or maybe you're just curious because I talk about them so much. There are some good documentaries, so if you just Google or YouTube Fleetwood Mac documentary, you'll get a few hits. So always a fun place to start and kind of maybe discover some fun little tidbits. Maybe discover some fun little tidbits about one of your favorite people or favorite books, musicians, authors, whatever, some sort of famous thing. There tends to be a lot of other people talking about it as well. Fun movies I like are The Devil Wears Prada, Burlesque, just sort of silly movies that, well, I wouldn't necessarily say silly, but I guess just more light movies that you're not going to cry over, movies that will distract you and are really good escapism. That's something that I really look for at times like this, is just stuff that I can watch without having to think too much about it, or that's going to make me think too much about other things. Like I watched Contagion, and I perhaps would not recommend people do that. Perhaps not. Now I said it, you're going to want to, but perhaps just avoid stuff like that. That might be just a bit too much. For books, so my favorite series is The Hunger Games, but honestly I haven't been able to read that in the last couple of months, so it might be the same for other people. Search for ebooks. Honestly, your public library is going to be a great resource right now, and a lot of places are not open, like the physical locations are not open, but they do have a lot of online sources available. You can usually contact someone as well. If you are on your public library website, there should be information there for contact and sort of services that are available, and sometimes they might even have options where you can contact somebody to kind of get more personal recommendations. That's a really good thing that I think a lot of people kind of overlook, is kind of getting recommendations for things like that. Don't be afraid to contact somebody and talk about the things that you've liked reading in the past and see if you can get recommendations for new things, and see if what kind of ebooks are available. I know ebooks aren't always the most easiest or convenient things for a lot of people to commit to reading. If you don't have like an e-reader and it's not your thing to just read a whole thing online, there might be other options available as well. I'd say just also look at things you already own. If you're like me, you might already have a ton of books that you haven't read or that you've been meaning to read, and sort of things that have been on your to-read list, and give those a chance as well. But don't get caught up in it, just like with TV and movies. If you start watching something and you really don't like it, let it go. So if you start reading something and it's not catching your attention, let it go for now. It's not worth punishing yourself to try and finish something that you're trying to read to like distract yourself or entertain yourself. Just pick up something else, kind of keep going. You'll find something. Okay, I think I've got the final lash on. I want to talk about YouTube really quick. There's not a whole lot of YouTube things that I've been watching recently. I kind of watch the same few things over and over again. There's a handful of people that I've been watching somewhat consistently, basically whenever they upload or when it comes across my feed. So for beauty, I've been watching Alana Rama. I like that she's Canadian. I enjoy the way that she speaks. I enjoy her videos. She's been taking kind of a break now. She was uploading every day for a while. She was going to do like a video a day for 100 days, but then with everything that was going on, she was lacking inspiration, and I mean, can you blame her? I can't. I have been rewatching some of her older content as well, because she's just someone that I enjoy watching. So if you have someone like that, definitely stick with them. If you are into ASMR, or if you're kind of thinking about it, maybe ASMR Magic is the one that I would recommend. She's the one that kind of got me interested in it in the first place. And then I've been watching a couple of people who are just kind of for fun. Blair Walnuts is kind of ridiculous YouTube, and she does a lot of trying different workouts and diets and that kind of stuff, and I just find her kind of charismatic and high energy a lot of the time and just kind of wacky. Hate saying that, but her and there's this other YouTuber, actually it's like Best Dressed, who like, I feel like I'm not her target demographic at all, because she's like this like 20-year-old or 21-year-old who like lives in New York City in like this tiny apartment and does all this like fashion like thrifting and how to style things. And then there's Makara Tours, I wrote her name down, Makara, I think her name is Makara. She's wacky, like some sort of Midwestern Barbie, and she does a lot of fashion stuff, so like very strange, odd tutorials that are just crazy. Her energy is insane, but it's a good distraction, and even if she talks about sort of current events and stuff like that, she does it in such a light way. She's very charismatic in that way, and I feel like she pulls a lot of stuff off that like I can't pull off, and I feel like a lot of people might try, but she's just so like effortlessly, it's just like her personality. I'm just gonna share some general advice right now because the makeup is as done as it's gonna get, let's just say. I put a couple of notes down in my phone, so I just wanted to share those things at the end here. So general advice: don't watch, read, listen, or look at things that make you feel bad about yourself. It's important to stay on top of everything, as difficult as it can be, and information is important. But now more than ever, pay attention to yourself. What do you need? I've unsubscribed and unfollowed a lot of people in the last month. If somebody was making me doubt myself, I left, and I feel a lot better about it. Don't seek out negativity. Avoid websites that focus on the drama and the dark side of things. I'm avoiding things like drama channels because it just feels sort of senseless to me that people are still kind of picking apart people for like really insignificant things, for the way that something looks on their face, for the way that their eyebrows look, or their hair. And you know, it's important to call people out on significant things, but some people are so petty, and it just is, it's exhausting. And I feel like it's exhausting for a lot of people, and it can definitely weigh down on you. And I feel like a lot of people who I've spoken to who have been struggling, that was one thing I noticed with them, is they were getting really caught up in a lot of the trauma, and they were constantly watching people that were very negative and bringing them down. And I actually spoke to a couple people and was like, maybe if you let that go, maybe, just maybe, that might be something that might help you a little bit. And I don't think people always recognize that, and I sure didn't recognize it. Even just people that maybe aren't negative personalities, but just because I felt so negative about myself whenever I watched them or saw them, now that I don't see them, they don't come up on my feed, I'm not subscribed, I don't get alerts, messages. For me, it's like they don't exist, and I feel much better. And I highly recommend that for anyone. So that is just sort of general advice. This is my general makeup, which is not as exciting as I thought it was going to be, but there you have it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I hope we get a chance to chat soon. Bye for now.